Hi all, let's look at a game of one of my favourite Super Grandmasters, Hikaru Nakamura. This is in round 1 of the Olympiad. Panama was playing against the United States. Jorge, Baules, an international master, playing white against Nakamura. Okay, let's see. D4, knight f6 from Naka. We have c4, e6. We go into a Nimzo Indian, none of this Queen's Indian territory. So white playing knight c3, allowing the pin. Queen c2. And now b6, slightly unusual move, but has been played quite a bit before. e4, c5. e5. Now c takes d4. a3. Bishop takes on c3. B takes. And the knight goes back to g8. So why would black want to do this? Because it looks as though after c takes d4, white's got a nice pawn centre, or is it vulnerable? There's a c file which could be a vulnerability for white. But also, if you look at the f5 square, there could be a strategic battle around the f5 square. We have bishop b7 here. So now knight f3, and now bishop takes f3, so giving up the light square bishop voluntarily. I have what seems to be an interesting British stem game from this position with knight e7, as in Hawkins against Roberson, who actually plays for Muswell Hill Chess Club. And I played Hawkins recently as well. I played both of them recently. This was in London 2015, which saw white having quite a nice position here after bishop d3. Black did take on f3, and it seems as though, I'll just show you the picture of this, the bishop on e3 is holding f4 and d4, and it looked like quite a nice position. Look at the f5 square. It looks as though almost white's preparing f5. And I really want to contrast you this position with what happened in this game. It went all a bit tactically crazy here, with knight takes e5, by the way, just to show you a bit of the drama here. And there was an interesting tactic played very soon. Bishop takes b6, which gave white, it seems, a big advantage after winning the queen here. So that was that game anyway. It was won by Hawkins, Grandmaster Hawkins, on move 50. But if you look at this position, it intrigued me because white's undoubled the pawns and is almost preparing f4, f5. Actually, f4 and f5 look dangerous. And the bishop seems quite pleasant being there centrally guarding not just d4 but f4. Now look at this game, what happened after bishop takes f3. Some different decision making. Knight c6, the bishop goes to b2, so not to e3. And also now look at this, knight ge7. White doesn't seem to mind black using the f5 blockade square, potential blockade square, especially if f4, it literally will be blockading against the double pawns. So rook c8 was played here. There's good counterplay, I think, on rook takes g7 with knight f5, for example. So queen e4, and now knight f5 officially protects g7. So bishop h3 now. Knight ce7. So yeah, look at this very solid looking blockade with the two knights. I think this didn't really happen in the stem game. It seems as though black's got a nice blockading scenario set up there. However, d5, isn't this impressive? It depends if these pawns can stay connected. Nakamura plays a move which kind of disconnects black's pawns. Very, very dynamic, aggressive move here. Can you guess actually what Nakamura played if I give you 5 seconds? Okay, b5, yeah, undermining the pawn chain. D takes, and now black really is getting into a driving seat after this check, and d takes. This is a lovely blockade. The bishop's kind of hemmed in by its own pawn. It's a huge contrast to the stem game, really, that I showed you, because there's no prospect at all of f4, f5 here. Black's just sitting very pleasantly here. So queen b7, black castles even. Rook d1, b takes c4, protected past pawn. Bishop c1, yeah, it's all seemed to have gone pear-shaped, queen takes e5. It's really gone pear-shaped here. Okay, eyeing h2. There's a passed c pawn there. Rook d7. And in fact, against this mulled threat, Nakamura plays just rook cd8. He's got a very nice combination to uncork here. But even if, for example, this rook was used to protect here, and say takes, and say the knight got out of the way for rook takes f7, there's queen a1 here. The knight and queen are sufficient to hold g7, and it gets worse, after knight d6, for example, forking queen and rook, and then taking here and then taking the queen. Is just, black is winning this scenario quite comfortably. So anyway, this looks like a super duper move, rook cd8, offering e7, because now there's a big forcing sequence, which a lot of super GMs must see kind of instantly, this kind of stuff. Rook d1 check, king g2, knight h4 check, and there's a real beautiful move that Nakamura played in this position. Crisp, incisive, crushing move. So what would you play with black? Can you find it? If you want to pause the video here, I'll give you 5 seconds to pause the video, analyze it, and come up with this brilliant move here. So black to play. Okay, queen e1. Yeah, queen e1. The back row is actually vulnerable because the g2 square is taken by that knight. So yeah, the white king's in trouble. The game actually ended here. White resigned. Let's see, if rook takes e1, check, and then it's checkmate. Basically, it's like a back row mate scenario. And what else, you might ask? So instead of rook takes e1, if bishop f1, we just play, I think you can guess, queen takes f1. There's really no defense to g1 here. So it's actually going to be mating next move, whatever white does. So a really crushing game there. Very interesting opening choice by Nakamura. Very provocative b6. He was kind of fortunate compared to the stem game, which is available in this line, to get a lovely looking blockade on f5. Maybe it looked visually kind of tempting, these pawns. I dare say it looked, visually very positive, but after b5 the pawns were broken up in the centre and black's pieces just came to white's king here. So a great game there for Nakamura. He must have been very pleased with this round 1 start to the Olympiad in 2018. Okay, comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.